button has been hit.
And also with me. Did you hurt yourself?
No.
Okay.
Dear Brother, with Alex and Mark, is brought to you by absolutely no one.
Welcome back to another episode of the Dear Brother podcast. It's been a while. Sorry for the delay, but you know, until enough people start listening to this, this isn't our job.
That's right. It's not our job. It's a fun little hobby.
Yeah. Maybe one day we can say, hey man, remember when we started this thing and nobody listened?
Yeah.
And now look at us.
Now look at us.
More
nobodies are listening.
nobodies are listening. Yeah, and so just as a bit of cleanup here, so this is our second video podcast. So if you're listening on your usual podcast software, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, and you feel like watching us, you can find us on YouTube at Dear Brother Podcast. And join the rest of the creeps. In fact, it's actually kind of funny. Putting our podcast on YouTube doubled our listenership. So, yeah. Thanks.
People like watching more than they like listening.
People like
I'm just saying that in general.
I think so. But, I mean, we're not doing anything.
It doesn't matter. We're a very visual society. We've become that.
Well, I have found, as I sit here at my desk during the day doing some work, I find that I will open YouTube and listen to videos while I work. And not like super visual videos, but videos that are effectively what we're doing. It's somebody talking at a camera.
Right.
And they're saying something that I find interesting, so I listen to them, and I'll glance over occasionally and watch a minute of it, and then I'll listen to the rest. So, yeah, maybe that's what you're doing.
Maybe.
And if you're finding us on YouTube for the first time, this is the Dear Brother podcast. We're available anywhere you get your podcasts. We're on Twitter at dearbrother_pod, and we're on YouTube. If you're already here, then you know that.
Shit. Are we going to pay the $8 to get verified?
No.
All right, good.
No. I think on our last episode we said like actively how little effort and money we put into this.
It's true.
And so the last thing we're going to do is pay an additional fee for nonsense reasons.
Indeed. Especially for a platform that may not be around for a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, all right. So what's going on? It's been a while.
It has been a while. The Queen is dead.
The Queen is dead. Long live the King?
Long live the King.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sudden.
Was it?
No, not really.
I mean, when a 96 or something? When a 96-year-old woman dies, I suspect there's nothing sudden about that.
She clung on for quite a bit.
Yeah, she did a good job.
Yeah, she did.
She hung on.
Sure did.
Look, if we measure our success by how long we live,
yeah,
she did a great job.
She did a fantastic job. Yeah. So that happened.
Yeah, sure did. What else happened? Tell us what else happened.
Man, well, the last time we spoke was August, right? So, the Queen died.
It's the only thing that Alex can remember about the last 3 months.
It's a pretty major hurricane in Florida.
Yeah.
Messed some things up.
Sure, yeah. Well, the west coast of Florida suffered quite a bit of damage.
Yeah. What else happened?
I mean, there was an election.
There was an election.
Yeah.
Stupid Astros won the World Series.
The cheating Astros.
They're not cheating. They're just assholes.
How do we know?
I don't know. They could all be cheating. I just don't like them. Especially that little Altuve fucking midget.
Do you not like the Astros because they're from Texas, or do you not like the Astros because they're the Astros?
I don't like them because they cheated 5 years ago.
Right.
And there was no repercussions for any of them. And then now I just don't like them because, I don't know, I don't like them.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the Boston Red Sox, but not for any good reasons.
Yeah, see, the Red Sox don't bother me as much.
Interesting.
I've shifted most of my hate now towards Houston. They're completely irrational.
Yeah.
But hey, look, it's got to go somewhere.
Your hate.
Yes. Where else should it go?
Well, I suppose if you're going to have hate, right, you need to direct it somewhere.
I need to direct it somewhere.
Yeah.
So
And so the Houston
so
Astros.
it goes to the Houston Astros. Yes.
Houston.
Houston.
All right.
Yeah. What else has happened? There was an election recently. It's more recent.
Very recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait on that one because it's too recent? Do you want to like find
No,
some
I
other
don't
things
care.
that happened? You want to try to be chronological about this?
Let's see. Yeah. So the Queen, Hurricane, World Series, election. I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
At least in my brain, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you got? What do you remember?
I think actually I didn't even remember as much as that. So
Yeah. See. So
yeah, so we are 2 weeks or a week and a half out of the no, not even a week out of the election.
yeah, it's
Votes
been
in some
5
places are
days.
still being counted.
Hey, did the dummy lose? You're in Colorado? She's
Oh,
still
no, she
in the
didn't.
race.
Well,
she won.
It's not called yet. It's super.
Okay.
I'm literally looking at the statistics right now. So she is leading the Democrat by I think 1/3%. So like 0.3 something. And under Colorado state law, that's an automatic recount if it's below, if it's 0.5% or less. So at the moment right now, she's leading by like 1,000 and change votes. But since election day, they have bounced back and forth. Like he was leading, she was leading, he was leading, she was leading, and now she's leading. And it looks like there's a few more votes still to be counted in a county or two. Like some couple of thousands. So because the race is so close, there's actually a chance that he might be in the lead in a little bit, or she might widen her lead, which is actually a little bit less likely. But we're going to have a recount almost certainly. Yeah.
I know there's a few of those, right? There's one in they're redoing the Senate in Georgia. They're rerunning that, aren't they? They have
Well,
to
yeah.
vote again in December.
Yeah, so they have
It was so close?
They have a runoff requirement. So if neither candidate reaches 50% of the vote, then they have to have another vote. It's called a runoff, and at that point,
Runoff. That's the word I was looking for.
yeah. So they'll basically it's basically a do-over.
Yeah.
And I believe if in the do-over, it doesn't matter if they hit 50%. I think it's whoever wins that one wins that one.
Winner takes all.
I think so. But also then, like, what's the point in that scenario if, I don't know.
What's wrong with Georgia? Have you seen this Herschel Walker guy?
Oh, I've seen him, buddy.
I mean,
He's a dumb one.
he's like, he's dumb. I mean, he's taking a lot of shots to the head. I mean, he's not even good enough to be an analyst on, like, Fox Sports.
Well, but he's also completely inarticulate, and you can't understand
That's what I
a word he
mean.
says. Yeah.
Like, he's clearly, like, he's got some brain damage.
I saw a clip of the Dave Chappelle from Saturday Night Live monologue, and his line was, "He's observably stupid."
He's right. He is.
Yeah.
Like, there's no coherent thought that comes out of his mouth, and yet 50%. He gets 50% of the vote. It's amazing how people will vote party line no matter what.
Well, but that's interesting because, like, yes, in some cases they'll vote party line no matter what, but Georgia is a good example of how they're not voting party line no matter what. The fact that he first of all, he didn't win the first election, or at least he came under Raphael Warnock.
Right.
And that indicates that, well, in any case, the consequence on the other side is that the governor's race was heavily favored for the Republican. And the same counties that favored Raphael Warnock as a Democrat favored what's-his-face for governor as a Republican. So it indicates that they're not voting on party line, they're voting for the candidate. And that there are enough people who think that Herschel Walker is a dumb person, but still want a Republican as governor. So they'll vote against the Republican here, but vote for the Republican there.
Right. It's still too close.
And then
should have been a blowout.
Yeah, it should have been a blowout. But, I mean, quite frankly, there's nothing about our elections that are really blowing out in any way for a very long time.
No, well, this was supposed to be the big red wave, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
'Twas no wave.
'Twas no wave.
'Twas nothing.
I've seen waves, buddy. I've seen them. This wasn't it.
This was not a wave.
This is not, yeah, this is a lap. Just a
If that.
slight lap. Somebody threw a pebble in the water, and there was a ripple, and then a slight lap at the edge of the shore.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Boebert is even in a race is stunning, actually. Like, this part of Colorado, it's a very large district that she has, and it is a very conservative, rural, mountain district. And the fact that this Democratic candidate even is a contender at all is actually surprising, which speaks to the fact that even though she's a Republican and she's famous for being an idiot and all that, there's enough people that dislike her, because the whole of her district shifted Democratic like 20% over last election.
Look, it's a hopeful sign that maybe people are waking up.
Yeah.
And we're getting away from the stupidity.
Well, I take the example of my county, Jefferson County, Colorado. Jefferson County, Colorado had a 72 or 73% voter turnout this year, which I believe is the highest ever.
Yeah.
And Jefferson County handily elected Democrats across the board in every field. There was not a single Republican, I don't think, except maybe one somewhere that won. And the first thing is that we know that a lot of the youths voted.
The
youths, and because of the youths, we've got this red wave never materialized. But what it proves to me is, at least in part, is that the more people that vote, the more likely Democrats are going to win, or at least progressive candidates are going to win. And to me, that proves that, like, or at least it illustrates why Republicans try to make it more difficult to vote. Because I think they know that if more people vote, then they're less likely to win. Because every time voter turnout increases and more people vote, Republicans tend to lose.
Yeah, but doesn't that should wake them up to realize, hey, you got to change your stance on a couple of things. And more importantly, distance yourself from the fucking orange monkey there. and just stop. I'm convinced that if in New York, if Zeldin, who ran for governor against, what's her name, Hochul, if he had not been so, married to Trump and an election denier, he probably would be governor, because it was that close of a race.
Yeah, which is surprising in New York, actually.
Because Hochul stinks. I mean,
well,
she really does.
Although, to be fair, I mean, there have been a lot of Republican governors in New York.
Yeah, Pataki was the last one. That was 20 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah,
I think that's when I stopped paying attention to New York politics.
Yeah, because we had 3 Cuomos. No, we had Spitzer.
Spitzer wasn't he a Republican?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He was there for a minute, and then got busted with the prostitute. And then Patterson took over. Yeah, he was Democrat. And then Cuomo was there for 3.5 terms or 2.5 terms, and then he got ousted for whatever he did.
Well, yeah, I think that this election. So obviously the red wave never materialized. The Republicans are likely going to hold the Congress. It's actually surprising that they didn't win the Senate.
Yeah.
As of last night, I believe. Yeah, as of last night, Democrats now hold the Senate. So, for a midterm election with a Democrat in the executive office, it's really quite unusual for there not to be a pretty major swing in the other direction. And to me, that's proof that at least enough people are going, hey, it turns out we don't want this Trump in here, or they have eaten themselves sufficiently that they've split, right? And that's that. I think I had roughly predicted that. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but roughly predicted that at some point or another, if they kept on with this Trump version of Republican politics and the establishment Republicans, as they are calling them now, the rhinos, if they kept that up, they would eventually split themselves and thereby losing elections.
Yeah.
Because if you're not cohesive, you're not going to win as a monolithic group. It's just not going to happen. Like, there aren't enough Trump voters and there aren't enough old school Republican voters to beat out the bloc that is the Democratic Party.
I suppose, yeah. Well, that's even more reason for them to kind of shift their strategy and try to appeal to the more moderate voter.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what a lot of races in Colorado were like that. The moderate Republicans won, some of them won the primaries, and those races were closer.
Yeah.
It proves to me, though, like over and again, that the American people are clearly not interested in Democrat or Republican only. They're interested in a particular candidate or a particular issue or a particular thing in a particular area, and that this monolithic block of political party is insufficiently representative of the American people. And the only choice, and this is true for years, the only choice they have is to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
And I don't know, as of right now, I can't help but view the Republican Party as the party that is crazed, full of themselves, and is trying and actively trying and succeeding in some cases to remove the rights of Americans, which is something that they have been saying about the Democrats for generations. And I'm watching the Republicans literally take rights away from people. And so to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, I went down that ticket and said, Democrat. Not a single Republican got checked on my ballot, because any Republican in any position at this point, in my view, invites and opens the door for some conspiracy theory.
Right.
And the increased action against abortion rights. Like, there's no progress in that party. They're not doing anything that's helping our society as a whole. They're only helping the evangelicals and their own twisted nonsense beliefs.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I had a hard time voting for Zeldin in particular, just because of his stance on abortion, and B, he was basically up Donald Trump's butt.
Yeah. Did you vote for Zeldin?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would have, had he not been those two things.
Yeah.
Because I really dislike Hochul, and I just don't like the way things are going in the state. But I found it hard to cast a vote for him just because of his past record.
Yeah.
And that he stuck to it. You know what I mean? Like, if he had to come around and be like, look, I made a mistake. I fucked up. This guy's an idiot. Sorry. Maybe. But no, he held tight. He loves Donald, and that was it for me.
I'm looking here at the results of the Colorado governor race, and it appears so. Polis won handily, 57 or nearly 58% to 40%. So it was basically a blowout for the Democratic candidate. And quite frankly, Jared Polis has been a great governor. I like him quite a lot. He's been he has walked the line of socially liberal, fiscally responsible, environmentally concerned well enough that he basically appears as a libertarian when it matters, and like a liberal when it matters.
I found out when I went to go vote that apparently I'm registered as a libertarian.
Really?
I don't know how that happened, but when the guy pulled up my name, it said libertarian. I was like, I don't remember filling that out. Okay.
I mean, obviously you checked the box somewhere.
I must have at some point. I don't remember doing it, but yeah.
Did you confuse libertarian with independent?
I have no idea.
Or were you confused one day and thought, yeah, I'm one of those?
I got to be honest, I don't remember.
Okay.
It caught me by surprise. When he turned the thing around to sign my name, I was like, libertarian? I was like, meh, all right.
Did you change it?
Sure. No, why?
I mean, are you a libertarian?
I don't fucking know. What does it matter?
I guess it doesn't.
Right? There were no libertarians on my ballot, so, I mean...
So the only way that it matters is, and I don't know how it is in New York anymore, but in Colorado, it used to be that if you were registered as a Republican, then you could not vote in a Democratic primary. You could only vote in the Republican primary. And so the only way that you could vote in either primary was if you signed as an independent, and then you had a choice of which party.
Yeah, no, I don't vote. I don't vote in primaries.
You should.
Why?
What do you mean why? What? No, not. Nah. Look, first of all,
What?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to scold you.
You're gonna scold.
Prepare to be scolded.
The finger's out. That's a scolding finger.
It is. Yeah, I'm fucking scolding you now. So this whole like, oh, I live in New York, so my vote doesn't matter because the Democrat's going to win anyway, is clearly not the case. Because there was a close race with the Republican in the governorship.
I vote in the general election.
I understand.
All right.
But also, it does matter which candidates you vote for in the primary, because those are the candidates that are going to be up for election in the general election, and it is always the case that older, more senile, dumb people vote in the primaries, and the younger, more capable, future thinking people do not. And the more we vote in primaries, the more we're going to have control over who our candidates actually are. Because that's what decides the candidate. So if you've got if Lee Zeldin, I don't know who he was running against in the primaries, but if Lee Zeldin was running against another Republican who was more reasonable and more moderate than he, and you voted in that primary and you voted for the more reasonable candidate, and so did other people like you, then you might have had a more reasonable Republican running against Hochul. And
I guess.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's literally how it works.
All right, I believe you.
Fucking vote.
But
God
he won in a blowout. I forgot the guy who I liked. Big fat guy from Buffalo. Lovely fellow.
In the primaries, you mean?
Yeah. Well, I saw him on the debate.
You could have voted for him.
I could have, but it would have been a wasted vote.
It wouldn't have been a wasted vote.
It would have been.
How do you know?
Because he lost.
Well, if more
handedly.
if more people had voted in the primaries, then he wouldn't have lost handily.
All right.
And that's actually what happened in Colorado in a lot of cases. Like there were some extreme candidates on the Republican side running in the primaries, and most of them lost their primary because a lot of people, the voter turnout in Colorado has been getting really good. I think overall in the state we're over 50%, which is crazy because it's never been that high in general. And the more people vote, the more likely you are to get a moderate, reasonable candidate that's actually a contender.
So where do libertarians fall in? Can we only vote for libertarian primaries?
I don't know. I don't know how it works in New York State. They changed we changed the law in Colorado like a couple of years ago where I believe if you're a registered Republican, you can still vote in a Democratic primary. But again, it's one or the other. You have to pick which one it is. I don't quite remember. But for libertarians, if you're registered as a libertarian and you are stuck to vote only for or in the libertarian primary, then you might as well not even be there.
Never going to vote.
Yeah, you might as well not be there. So you should register as an independent.
Sweet.
And then when it comes to primary time, pick your poison.
Yeah, I'll leave it as is.
Look.
I'm good.
Look, for everybody listening, you all know by now, if you're a regular listener, that I'm right about this, and you should go and vote in every election you can vote in.
And you all know that I'm indifferent about this.
Well, but you're not indifferent. You ultimately have a stake in it, and you're interested in the results.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's important.
Hey, did you have people on your ballot that showed up as like Republican, Democrat, and like conservative, and then like I had to choose 6 judges. I had to choose 6. There were only 6 people to choose from.
Okay.
And they all showed up in the Republican side, on the Democrat side, and I think on the independent side. So it was like...
So judges are technically nonpartisan in elections. Like they may have political leanings, but from a ballot perspective, they're nonpartisan. So that may be
So why even run? It says choose 6. Only 6 were running.
Wait, it was choose 6 of the 6? So there were 6.
It says choose up to 6. There were 6 names there. That's it. It's not like I had 12 people to choose from.
Right.
It's 6. And each one showed up on the Democratic line, on the Republican line, and I think it was either independent or whatever the fuck.
That sounds to me like some dumb regulation that requires the ballot to be written in a certain way. Because what we have here, and I don't know that it's the same thing at all, but when we pick a judge here, it's not about pick the judge. It's should the judge remain. And so there are however many judges, and then you go down the list, and you're given, for each judge, you're given a choice: remain in office, leave office. So I don't know.
So what happens if they all get voted out? You have no judges?
Then the governor, I believe the governor appoints new
Mm.
judges for those. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Are you doing mail-in, or are you going to the?
No, I went.
You went in.
Yeah.
See, I mean, the thing about, and I've talked about this a couple of times with a couple of people, the thing about the mail-in ballot that's so good is that I can sit here at my desk and take about an hour and go through the candidates if I don't know, because there's some races I don't know about what's going on, like some lower down races that are just as important, but I don't know enough. So I can sit here and kind of research candidates, and I can make decisions that I think are more appropriate in the moment than if I were in a booth going, I better get this done, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, it's fair, baby.
The newspaper that I read every Sunday, last Sunday, had a nice little election section and laid out all the candidates and gave you a list of what they do and all that stuff. So I knew going into it who I was voting for.
Except for the judges.
Except for the judges. I was thoroughly. I saw 6 candidates in the thing in the booklet, and I read through them. And then when I got to the ballot, I assumed it was like it would have been like, hey, it's choose 3 out of 6. But no, it said choose 6. I'm like, but there's only 6 here.
So I don't understand. So
do I choose all 6? Do I not choose any?
Right. Like if you filled in one of those circles, what did it do?
I have no fucking clue.
Because we did have. I don't remember. It might have been for coroner or something. I don't know. There was certainly one line on the ballot where it was.
You've got to vote for the coroner?
Yeah. It's an elected position here.
Why?
Because it's an elected position. I think the coroner falls under the county sheriff, and sheriff's office is like the sheriff. We have to vote for sheriff. And
new sheriff in these parts.
New sheriff in town.
Is there a new sheriff? Or is it the same old sheriff?
Same old sheriff. I don't think the sheriff was on the ballot this year.
If you say sheriff enough, it loses all meaning.
And sheriff. Howdy, sheriff. How you doing, sheriff? There's a couple of races where like there's only one person running.
Right.
And so I don't even.
What the fuck's the point at this point?
I don't fill those in. My guess is if they're an incumbent and they're uncontested, I suspect that if they get 0 votes, then they still win.
Right.
So my hope is in those races that nobody fills that in and they get 0 votes, except for like maybe they get 1 because they voted for themselves.
There was one. I think it was what position was it? Maybe it was controller. I don't know. But there was one candidate who was in the newspaper. He had a picture of the guy and a whole description. And then his candidate, the guy he was running against, there was no picture, and it just said one sentence like, "This candidate decided not to provide any information." So I was like, what? Who's voting for this guy?
And the crazy part is that somebody will.
I did.
Did you?
Just out of spite.
Kids, take your ballots seriously.
It was clear the other guy was going to win.
Yeah.
Guy had a face.
Unless all of you thought that way.
Unless all of us. He won.
And then you would have no face guy who would have won.
He won, but it was like 90 something to like 2%.
Yeah, so you were part of.
I was part of that 2% who voted for no face.
You spite voted. You spite voted him. Well, I mean that's kind of funny because like there you go. There's the example. There's the guy who was not even in it, and he still got 2% of the vote.
Look, maybe I made him feel better about himself.
Is that what you're trying to do? You make people feel better about themselves?
Why not? Boost up his morale a little. Maybe next election cycle he'll go, you know what? I'm going to put my face out there.
And then he'll get like 1% of the vote.
And then maybe he'll get like 3%.
Maybe. Yeah. Did we talk about Herschel Walker yet?
We started about him and how dumb he is. Yes.
If anybody in Atlanta listens to this podcast, or Georgia, and actually, yes, Atlanta, but if anybody in Georgia listens to this podcast between now and the runoff election, which I believe is happening in December, for fuck's sakes, Herschel Walker is a dumb person. Even the categories.
Yeah,
you sir. I know, I'm saying the same thing you've been saying, but you are good, and I'm in the middle of something. It's I get it. He's a Republican. The Republicans have told you that the country is falling apart and the Democrats are going to ruin everything, but that's just not true. And he is a dumb person. He's literally a dumb person.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Republican and this is your candidate, you have to question, like, is this really the best you have?
Right.
Like, I'm sure there was somebody better who could have run.
Exactly right. And I suspect if a better candidate had been put up in Georgia, that we wouldn't be going to runoff. I bet you he would have won. So think about that next time, Republicans. Be fucking smarter than your Trump idiots, and get better candidates.
Yeah, your two biggest superstars were Herschel Walker and Dr. Oz. How'd that work out?
Right. Fucking Dr. Oz.
Fucking idiots.
And so the thing about Dr. Oz is he's just a scumbag.
Yeah, apparently.
Like he's the guy's clearly intelligent and he's clearly articulate. But again, dear Republicans, take a look at Dr. Oz and his history. Literally a Democrat up until the minute he decided he wanted to run, and realizing the only way he could even come close to winning was become a Trump idiot, and it didn't work. So
yeah,
come on, yeah, fucking idiot. Just it's pathetic. It's pathetic.
See the guy who won in Pennsylvania though?
Fetterman?
Yeah, Fetterman.
Oh yeah, fucking
scary looking guy.
Fucking Hoodie McGee.
Just picture him walking into the Senate in jogging pants and a hoodie.
You know, that's the thing I've been asking myself. Like, I wonder.
Hey guys, how are you?
I wonder if he's going to go to work wearing sweatpants. Like,
I hope so. God, I hope so.
I kind of hope so too.
I mean, I'm sure there's like a dress code, but I hope he shows up in a hoodie, sweatpants, undone boots.
Like he's gonna have to go buy a suit now. Clearly.
You know that suit's gonna be like sized incorrectly, disheveled.
Yeah.
Like not ironed.
Well,
he's just going to show up in a wrinkly, oversized suit.
Yeah. But isn't that what's working nowadays?
I don't know. But I can't wait to see it.
Like my brother said something about like, I wish candidates would just give me the issues because I don't care about them and their personalities. But I said to him like, hey man, the reality is that people vote based upon the person and their perception.
Sure.
And it's kind of sad, actually, that like we need, oh, he looks like me, or oh, I feel like I can relate to him or her. And no, these are not your friends. Fucking pay attention to what they're saying. And I'm not saying Fetterman's good or bad. I'm just saying like if the reason why you voted for John Fetterman in Pennsylvania is because like you also wear sweatpants and eat too much fucking hot dogs and Mountain Dew, that's not a good reason.
Do you remember the movie Happy Gilmore?
I do.
You remember the big giant guy at the end who was like chasing Shooter McGavin because he hit his foot with like the ball? You don't remember that guy? The big.
I don't remember the scene exactly, but carry on.
Look it up later. He reminds me of Fetterman. That's all I see when I see those two. I was like, oh, there he is.
Okay.
He's. I hope he does well, but I also hope he shows up in sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Undone boots, like a mustard stain on his shirt.
You know he's got a sweatshirt with a mustard stain on it.
Absolutely.
He's gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this map here. It's on the New York Times website, and it shows the shift in voting from 2020. And so Oregon, Colorado, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Illinois, all and it's actually in Arizona actually all went extremely Democratic in their shift. Oh, in Hawaii as well. Like full on screw you Republicans, we're voting for Democrats.
See, that doesn't bode well for the Republicans for 24 now, does it? 'Cause especially if Ohio and Pennsylvania are swinging blue, those are the two big states. Actually, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Arizona.
And Arizona went handily blue. I mean, I think right now the senator's race is done.
Yeah, they called
Mark
that
Kelly
one for
won. They're still working on the
the
governor.
governor's still up in the air.
But
Yeah.
it looks like it's going to go Democrat. I was surprised that Nevada swung Democratic for the Senate.
So do you think the big dummy is going to actually run? I mean, people have got to be telling him, hey, man, like, it's over. You got to stop.
Dude, people have been telling Donald Trump it's over, you got to stop since the beginning of Donald Trump. And if there's one thing Donald Trump is really good at is ignoring good advice and carrying on with his ego-driven ignorance anyway.
Yeah, but see, this is where this is where the Republicans need to like realize, hey, now he's fucking us up. And we need to distance ourselves because if we have any shot of beating Biden or whoever is going to be on the Democratic ticket in 24, we just can't.
I agree entirely. I think that if Trump runs again, there is a very high likelihood that not only will he lose, but also the Senate and the House candidates will lose also. So there's a very good chance that either Biden or another Democrat are going to come in as a second-term Democratic president with a Democratic Senate and House. And I'm actually, at this point right now, me personally, I'm fine with that. That's great. Like I know we're trying to like talk about this in a balanced way, but quite frankly, if the Democrats hold all three branches of government, then to me, that the very first action they need to take is to legislate and codify the right to abortion in the United States. They need to effectively fuck that Supreme Court decision right in the asshole.
It can't be Biden again, can it?
It can.
Yeah.
It can. I mean, look, his approval rating is not great, but we've also proven that we're not willing to vote for Republicans nearly as much as we were.
No, I know that. He's getting a bit long in the tooth.
Guy, he's been long in the tooth forever.
I know, but like he's, yeah.
So here's the thing. Biden has never been a good orator. He's never been the guy who could stand at the podium and charge up a crowd like either Obama or Trump for that matter. But if you look at the actual like accomplishments from a legislative perspective, he's managed to do quite a lot more in 2 years than many other presidents. And he appears as Uncle Joe, can't get through a couple of sentences without making a flub. That's always been Joe Biden as far as I've been aware. If you look back at some of his old Senate days where you're looking at his speeches on the Senate floor, it was the same thing. He was telling ridiculous stories and rambling on about nonsense, and he didn't even have a teleprompter back then to try and help him. But he's done quite a lot of stuff. And so you have to look at the actual merits of his accomplishments in office.
Yeah, but most Americans don't.
That's true. That's true.
Again, like we said in the beginning of the show, it's a very video medium, especially nowadays. Everything's what's in your face, what you see. It's all visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I've said before, we're very dumb people.
We're not bright.
No. I mean, quite frankly, my old company and your current company is kind of like a microcosm of the United States. There's a few really bright, capable people that are propping up the overall crappy environment.
Yeah. Remind me to talk to you about that when we're off the air. I got some things to say. And I can't say on air.
I mean, can't you?
No. Can't.
Is there a way that you could say it without saying it?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, let's not subject the listeners to any of that then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, I think by now everybody knows our stance on social media.
Somewhat.
Generally opposed to it, you and I.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
No, I mean, do you love social media?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's
Are you psyched about? Do you want to have all the social media accounts and you want to go on the Twitter
No,
and the
no.
TikToks and the?
I haven't been on Twitter in quite a bit. Although I'd like to. I should log back on now just to see the chaos. I've been reading some of like the people, like people who now get the blue check mark and are posting as like Pepsi,
Yeah.
but it's not really Pepsi.
Yeah, so
It's pretty funny.
I can give you a little bit of insight into Twitter. Twitter has not appreciably changed in any way that is useful or not since Elon Musk took over. So
Right.
like as a place, Twitter is pretty much the same.
Okay.
The blue check mark thing is hysterical because he it seems anyway that he's always been this way. It's like he's just going to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And he figured, let's try this one and see what sticks. And I don't know if they undid it or whatever, but the best part about it is that in an effort to try to increase accountability on the site, he took the thing that was like a thorough approval of an individual's reality and existence, and he turned it into just a monthly subscription. So he immediately stripped out any accountability or reason that there was associated with the blue check mark. The best part about that thing is as soon as he did that, they instituted a secondary check mark that effectively replaced the first check mark. So if you look on Twitter accounts, like
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, like if you look at like any like government official or like super duper celebrity or whatever who was previously a blue check mark for the reasons that I just stated, now they are a blue check mark, but they're also an official badge.
Oh.
Right? Because what he did was he diminished what the check mark meant, but in order to ensure that there was no nonsense on some of those accounts, they added back the check mark. So it's like all they did was just...
So I could still buy a blue check mark and register myself as Mark, as you, and put all types of fucked up posts, whatever, as you. But if someone really wants to know that it's you, you have to get the blue check mark and the official stamp.
I have, as the real Mark, I have to go through double the process, but you only have to pay $8 a month.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And so the consequence...
So you have to go through double the process and pay the $8 no matter what.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Although I think the blue check mark in my case, if I were like a notable figure, I think in my case I wouldn't have to necessarily pay the $8. I don't really know, but it doesn't really matter because all they did was just trivialize the blue check mark and then recreate it in another fashion while charging for the blue check mark and then making it doubly difficult for somebody who is actually a person. Yeah.
So can you get, the question now is, can you get the official whatever that thing is without the blue check mark?
That I don't know. Because I think
at that point, what's the point of blue check mark?
I think a few days after they instituted this whole thing, they got rid of it because they realized it didn't work.
It was falling apart.
Well, yeah, because again, it was all of these people were paying $8 and then going and impersonating a whole host of people and companies just to troll and just to be, knuckleheads.
I know. I missed the boat on that.
It's still happening.
I know, but like it's over. I could have had so much fun with that.
When you would have paid $8 to register yourself as somebody else.
Yeah.
All right.
Spite, Mark. Spite.
Yeah, you are. You are the captain of spite. Not a captain of industry, but a captain of spite.
No. Captain of Spite. The SS Spite.
SS Spite.
If I ever get a boat, that's what it's going to be called.
Spite.
Spite.
No. Spite.
Sea Spite. I like that.
SS Sea Spite?
Sea Spite. Spite at sea.
Sea Spite. Yeah. You're never getting a boat.
No. I got a lawnmower. See that?
I do. I was going to ask you about that. Tell us
go ahead,
about
ask.
your lawnmower.
It was a birthday present. A surprise birthday present.
From?
My wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my mother. They chipped in.
That's surprising, actually.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. It wouldn't seem like it would seem to me like you would be more heavily involved in the purchase of such an appliance.
So a little history on that. So I have a little over half an acre property, pretty decent size.
Yeah, especially for where you live.
Yeah. And I used to have a ride-on mower that I had purchased in the neighborhood. It was an older, like a 1987 Honda. It was delightful. It did the job, and it significantly reduced my mowing time than a push mower. Then one day I was riding it, and I don't know what I hit. I hit something. All types of belts and gears and pulleys just went flying from the thing.
Oh dear.
So I just wasn't gonna fix it. It was whatever. It was done. It was gone. So I put it to the curb. The local scrapper came by. He put it in his pickup truck, took it away. Ever since then, I've been using the push mower. And whatever. I mean, it gets the job done, but it's it's a
Takes more effort.
2.5 hour process of mowing the lawn every 2 weeks, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
And then in the fall, that's even worse because now I got all these leaves. Although we cut a bunch of trees down and had them trimmed and whatnot, so it's the leaf production has been significantly reduced, which is nice. Nonetheless,
Leaf production.
the leaf production. Nonetheless, I made a comment. I was like, I don't really want to pay for a landscaper, but like, I'm getting tired of spending my summers trying to find time to mow the lawn and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, like, it's for anybody that doesn't know. I suspect everybody does. I mean, mowing a lawn is like a full-time job in the summertime.
Yeah, I mean, every 2 weeks, and even every 2 weeks, it's like, fuck, this thing looks like,
Yeah. I mean, realistically, if you want to do it right, you got to do it every week, and it's at least a couple of hours of yard work every week, and it takes time.
Yeah. So now, one day I came home, and my Barbara called me up, and she was like, "Oh, don't come to the front door. The front door's broken." I was like, "What? How's the front door broken?" So you got to come to the garage. I was like, "Fuck." And I'm all pissed off driving home. Like, who broke the front door? How did they break it? What did the kids do? Like, oh god, I got another fucking thing I got to fix. So I got home. I opened the garage, and there's this thing. And I was like, "Oh, well, that's a pleasant surprise."
Were you still worried about the front door at that point?
Yeah, that was my first thing. I was like, "So is the front door okay?" She's like, "Yes, the front door's fine. It's the only way I can get you to come into the garage."
I love the fact that in an effort to try to surprise you with a delightful thing, she had to give you something to piss you off.
Yeah, I know. I don't think she meant to piss me off. I was just the way I reacted to it internally. Okay.
Well, that would have been the same thing. I'm like, "What do you mean the front door's broken? How does the front door?"
Well,
break?
I was like, "Who broke the front door?" She was like, "I don't know. The kids did something." I was like, "What?" And I'm just thinking, I was like, "What the fuck could they have done? It's a heavy front door. Like, did they like kung fu kick it? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah. You're running through all the possibilities.
I'm thinking the hinge broke, and I'm gonna have to reframe it. I'm like, "Oh god." Front door's fine, ladies and gentlemen.
That's good.
Everyone can rest easily. My front door is in great shape.
That's great.
And now I have a ride-on mower.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna purchase the attachments this week for there's gonna be a little hose and little containers in the back to bag the leaves,
Okay.
so I can vacuum them up, so I don't have to rake.
Real nice.
Yeah, I'm psyched.
Can it do like a plow or a snowblower attachment?
I can add a plow or a snowblower if I'd like,
Mr.
but I have a snowblower right behind.
No. So full stop, dude. You now have a plow.
I know.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could be Mr. Plow.
I can't wait to be Mr. Plow.
That's your name.
My name again is Mr. Plow. Get a little jacket made up.
Oh, if you get a plow for that, I'm sending you a Mr. Plow jacket.
Sweet.
You need that's something you need to know.
Can't wait.
The moment that plow gets attached to that unit, you're getting a Mr. Plow jacket.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a bunch of yard work. I don't know if you remember. You probably don't. I had a little forest on my property.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, we had that all cleared out and leveled, and now there's nice grass. The trees are all gone. All the weeds, everything's gone.
It sounds terrible.
It's fantastic.
The trees are all gone, and now you have grass.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds like my nightmare.
It's my dream.
Fascinating.
Yeah. It's nice.
Okay, but now you have more lawn to mow.
I have subsequently more lawn to mow, yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize how big of a piece of property. Like, you could build another house on the piece of property that I just had leveled. It's pretty, yeah.
When you say leveled, are you referring to it as you leveled the forest, or that you actually took the time to level out the ground?
Both.
Oh.
Yeah, I paid someone to level the forest and then level the ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you have a riding mower now to be able to handle all that new lawn.
I have a riding mower. Now we're gonna push the fence out to the front of the house and then basically have a bigger backyard. It'll be side yard, but part of the backyard.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice.
So with that much grass and,
Yeah.
and fenced in
Go ahead.
yard, do you intend on letting your children come inside ever again?
No,
Good. Because I would build.
but they're gonna be inside anyway.
No, because I would say to them, it's like not only should you not be inside the house, but now you have an area outside that is substantially larger than the inside of the home, and it's all yours. Go run free.
They have a pretty big area now, and they don't. They're not like us, Mark. They're not. These kids are not. Like I tell them all the time, I was like, dude, if I had this growing up, like I would have never been in the house.
Right.
I would have been outside playing all day with my toys, just in a magical fucking imaginary world.
I was at a friend's house for dinner last night. They have 3 boys, and I was with Beth and her son.
Yeah.
And so it was 4 boys. And, you know, they've got a fairly large house, but they've got quite a large backyard. And my friend is like super clever, like super dad kind of thing. Like he's always, you know, coming up with neat things for the kids. He built a zip line in his backyard. There's, you know, he's got a projector in his basement that the kids can play video games on. So lots of cool toys for the kids to play with. And it was chilly out, but it wasn't like cold. And these kids spent 98% of their time in the basement playing video games and arguing about video games.
Mm-hmm.
When they literally had a giant yard with like swings and trampolines and zip lines, and for like 1 minute they went outside. Like at one point, it's funny because he and I went to go sneak a cigarette in the backyard, and that's when the kids decided to go play in the backyard. So we had to like hide around the side of the house while they were like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, go play on the zip line." I'm like, "Cool." So we scurried off to hide our cigarettes from them. They were out there for like 4 minutes, and then they went back inside.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Were they playing video games on the screen at least, or were they just all on their phones playing video games or iPads or whatever?
I think they were on the screen.
Okay.
And one of them, the youngest one, was trying like the whole night. He was trying to they have like one of those virtual headset deals.
The Oculus.
Yeah. And so he was trying to get that thing to work the whole night. And it was kind of funny because the older kids, because he was quite a bit younger, the older kids were all figuring out like the video games.
Sure.
And this one kid wasn't like really involved, so he was just trying to get the Oculus to work, but he never did. And so the whole night it was this one kid trying to get this one thing to work.
At least he tried.
Yeah.
My daughter's saving up for an Oculus.
Okay.
She wants one desperately, so we gave her a list of chores to do.
Okay.
She can earn money for her Oculus, because we're not buying it for her,
Right.
by doing these chores.
That's reasonable.
So she's doing it.
Yeah. Look.
What's going to happen? She's going to spend $400 on this thing. She's going to use it once, and then it's going to sit in her room and collect dust.
Good.
And then I'm going to get annoyed. And, whatever.
Well, look, it's better that she learns the lesson, spends her own money, buys the thing, and then loses interest and goes into something more interesting than it is if she does all that and then spends the rest of her life behind those goggles.
Yeah, I guess. It's a lot of money, though.
It is, but it's like you said, it's her money. She's learning the lesson that she needs to do the work if she wants the thing that she wants.
I guess.
If you were to just buy it for her,
Oh, no, I'm not.
I'm saying, but like if you were to just buy it for her and then she got tired of it, you'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, just feel like, hey,
I guess.
you know,
I'm trying to teach her the value of a buck.
I think that the lesson that you're teaching her with the consequence of her losing interest is going to teach her the value of a buck. Because she's going to look at that thing and she's going to look at it as her own money spent. She could have spent that money on any number of things, and she chose that because it was cool and neat, and she's not using it. So hopefully that'll teach her that lesson.
She's much like me in the indifference world. It's quite frustrating, actually.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Because she'll use her indifference against me, and it's like, damn it.
I can't argue with that because it's the same way.
Because I know what's going to happen. She'll buy the thing, it'll collect dust, And then I'll be like, see, you could have used this you could have saved up and bought something else cooler. And she'll be like, meh, whatever. I'll just save up more money.
Such a dick.
And I can't argue with that.
Well, at least it wasn't your money.
Kind of is, though, because I'm paying her.
It is, but no, the moment you pay her for something, it's no longer your money.
I know. I'm paying her for a service, but still.
Yeah. She's contracting, or you're contracting her to do some work, and that's
I want to tax her. I'm not allowed to tax her yet.
What do you mean you're not allowed to tax her yet?
I wanted to impose, income tax.
No, I understand what income tax is, but why can't you, is the question.
My wife's against it. She doesn't want to do that yet. I tried to explain to her. I was like, oh, in the real world, this $2 you made would really only be like $1.20. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, Mommy and Daddy get paid. We don't get paid our full paycheck. Like, we get paid X amount of dollars, and then the government takes roughly, 50% or 40-something percent.
Right.
She's like, why? I was like, well, I tried to explain it. She's like, oh, that sucks.
Well, because like roads and shit, kid.
That's what I tried to tell her. I was like, well, roads and all these, your school and all that stuff. She's like, all right. She's like, well, don't take my money out.
Well, like you could still play that game, right? If let's say you're gonna pay her, you're saying I'm gonna pay you $2 to do this chore, whatever it is, right?
Right.
So she goes and she does the chore, $2 in her pocket. What you really should do is provide her with a statement, and that statement should say your gross pay was actually $2.40, but due to income taxes, your net pay is $2. So you get the $2 I promised you, but what you should know is that there's an additional 40 cents that you didn't receive because that goes to feeding you and clothing you and making sure that there's heat in the house and all that sort of stuff. So you can kind of get to the same place, but you provide her with a pay stub. You're like, here you go. Here's the money. Here's the money you could have had in your pocket.
She won't care.
She won't care.
She won't care.
Well,
all she'll care is that she got her $2.
What can I tell you?
Chip off the old block.
Hey, do you mind if I plug my other podcast on our podcast?
No, please plug away. You haven't told me you posted any. So I would be an active listener and or watcher.
I thought I told you. I sent you the link.
Nope. You sent me the one link. And you were like, oh, this is our first one. I don't know when we're going to do more. You never told me you did more.
Oh. Well, there's I think there's 4 or 5 episodes up now.
Oh, look at you. We know why Mark's been so busy.
That's not it, actually. It's not it at all. You can't record during the weeknights.
It's all right.
All right.
It's all right.
Well, anyway, for anybody listening, there's another podcast that I do with my brother, and it's not called Dear Brother.
Ironically.
What?
Huh? What?
Huh?
I said ironically.
Ironically, it's not called Dear Brother. It's called And Ayub. So, and, A-N-D-A-Y-O-U-B, And Ayub. And you can only find us on YouTube.
Only?
Yeah, we're just posting our conversations on YouTube. And they're very different than your conversations with and I. What? That's not a sentence. They're very different than our
conversations.
Thank you.
Yes, they're very much different.
They're very different.
They're more educated based off the first one I saw.
I don't know if I'd say that they're educated.
I would say they are.
But they're more pointed in a particular style. Yeah. This one is more conversational, and that one is a little bit more argumentative or debate. It's more of a debate than this.
You guys are master debaters.
Well, you know what they say: the servant waits while the master baits. Flavin. That is the second Mel Brooks History of the World reference I've gotten to make in the last 2 days, so I'm really happy.
Look at you. You must be psyched.
Look at me.
Look at you go.
All right. Well, hey, we should probably do this again sometime.
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
I'd like to apologize to all our listeners for our lack of posting.
Yes.
And we'll resume at some point more things.
At some point we'll get into a regular schedule.
Yeah.
And then we'll fuck it all up again in the spring and summer.
Totally,
and then
totally.
We'll go back and we'll figure it out. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I'll post links to the other podcast in this YouTube videos thing at the bottom, maybe.
I can't wait.
So, Yeah.
Now I have things to listen to on my ride to work this week.
See, the problem though is that it's only on YouTube.
Yeah, so what?
So if you can play YouTube in your car,
I can.
okay. Well then, yeah,
Yeah, just stream it.
sure. Anyway,
It's the company's phone.
I don't know if that matters, but whatever the case.
I'm not paying for the data. Okay. They are.
Well, thanks for listening to another episode of the Dear Brother podcast. Seriously, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye. Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. You could find us on Twitter at dearbrother_pod or on our website, dearbrotherpodcast.com.